Good day, everyone. It's been a while. Well, what can I say? A man's got to get away to rest sometimes, which is the theme of one of my talks today. In fact, my intention is to give you a 3-in-1, covering the Sundays of the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th of July. So you're getting a 3-in-1. These three readings, the topics, the line that sort of stands out for me for the 15th is take nothing with you for the journey. On the 22nd, the line that I would like to deal with is the line that says go apart to rest. And on the 29th, the feeding of the 5,000, where Jesus, addressing his disciples, tells them, give them something to eat. So let's deal with each one in turn. These three readings fall squarely within the teaching and preaching ministry of Jesus. They are what you might call discipleship information. You want to follow Jesus, then these three bits of advice is vitally important. Take nothing for the journey. Go rest apart and give them something to eat. They are like A, B, and C. And I think it's the how, the when, and the why. The how is how you are to journey as a disciple. The when is as you journey, how you sustain yourself. And the why is the whole purpose of the journey. So let's start off with the how. Take nothing with you. Why on earth did Jesus instruct his disciples to take nothing with them on the journey? It says here in Mark 6, he instructed them to take nothing for the journey but a walking stick. No food, no sack, no money in their belts. They were, however, to wear sandals, but not a second tunic. The two that I find hardest to deal with is to have no cash and no food. Having no cash means that you have no liquid assets that you convert into something that you need. You can't get food and you can't get a change of clothing. In fact, they are to stay at the home of people that they meet along the way. Not having the basic essentials of life means that you become very dependent on people, the people that they met in the villages that they visited. So the focus, I think, is not so much on the hardship and austerity of being a disciple, but the whole idea of being dependent on those that you serve. And I think Mark points out a very important principle in ministry, in working for the Lord, that there is an important element of giving what you put out, but also in receiving. And probably the receiving is equally important. I was in Ghana recently doing a bit of outreach, my very first trip to Africa, and I went to check on two persons that I sent to school. Boy, did they take me under their wing. They traveled with me all along the south coast of Ghana. I visited their refugee camp and celebrated Mass at their little humble church, visiting a few homes afterwards. The friendship, the laughter, the meals, and the hospitality was just incredible. In fact, I think I received more than I gave. It was the best trip that I ever had. Take nothing with you, I think, fits into this whole scenario. It makes you dependent on other people. It forces people to extend their kindness and generosity towards us. And so they are practicing basic Christian virtues. We have a saying that it's better to give than receive. Well, Jesus is saying practically the opposite here. In fact, when you depend on people in your ministry, it builds up a certain trust and a certain mutuality between us and the people that we serve as well. So don't be afraid to be dependent on people. Take nothing with you so that people can respond to you with their generosity and kindness. The second reading came to us on the 22nd of July, Mark 6. It instructs us to go apart to rest. Come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. In other words, Jesus is instructing us, commanding us to build back some balance in our lives. You need some time to draw apart, to reflect, to rest, to pray, and to be at peace. When last did you have some peace in your life? And I think God the Father sets the example in Genesis. We are told here in Genesis chapter 1, God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work that he had done in creation. And we see that in the life of Jesus too. Luke 5:16, he would draw apart to deserted places to pray. My dear people, you are being commanded to rest. You're not being asked politely. You need to recharge. You need to find some time to reflect and reconnect with God. People have this concept of a bucket list that they sometimes use when they go on vacation, and I don't agree with it at all. There is nothing that you have to do. That's not the purpose of vacation. You got to do this and you got to do that, and I didn't do this and I didn't do that. Just go apart. Once you get rest, that is all that is sufficient. And we have to use our creativity a little bit sometimes in finding that rest. It could be just a few minutes during the course of the day, or it could be a longer period of time. Just withdraw. Consider visiting the church or a chapel to find some quiet time, or getting up a little bit early, or finding some space for you to commune with God. Once you can find that peace in your life, make it a habit of withdrawing as regularly as you possibly can, so that you restore the balance that we are meant to have in our living. The third reading, taken from John chapter 6 verse 1. This reading focuses on the feeding of the 5,000, and in it Jesus instructs his disciples to give them something to eat. It's a message for all of us who sometimes find that we come up short in supplying the needs of others in our ministry. Give them something to eat. We all know the story of the 5,000. There you had 5,000 hungry, tired men to be fed with 5 loaves and 2 fish. Do the math. Any way that you work it, it comes up short. If you divide 5 by 5,000, you are left with a tiny crumb that is of no use to anyone. So one of the disciples made a very logical suggestion. He said, send them away. And it makes perfect sense. It says there in John 6:5, in themselves the disciples had no resources to meet the enormous need of the people that they were serving. They had no food, they had no money. What else were they to do? They could do absolutely nothing at all. And most of us, I imagine, would have done the same thing. We are quick to see that we can't do, and very quick to talk about what we don't have. The disciples saw the crowds and they realized their own adequacy. It's the classic situation presented to us in the Gospels. We are put in an impossible situation and we are told to do something about it. This happens several times. The man born blind, the paralytic, the storm on the lake. In each situation, we realize our complete dependency on God, where nothing, absolutely nothing can be done. And I will tell you this, sooner or later in your life, you come to the knowledge that your wisdom, your skill, your strength, your eloquence, your creativity, and your personal charm can't do anything for you. Nothing works. So what do? Well, you do as the disciples suggested. You send them away. You give the problem to someone else. Well, the feeding of the 5,000 suggests another solution. In fact, it suggests 3 things. The first is that God supplies what he demands. In your moment of inadequacy, when you find that you have nothing to give, God will supply. The disciples were placed in a situation where all they could do was to trust in God to supply their need. Secondly, the fact that something is impossible is no excuse, I think, for not trying. If Moses had taken that attitude, the Jews would still be in Egypt. If Joshua had felt that way, the walls of Jericho would still be standing. And if David had adopted that opinion, Goliath would still be terrorizing the Israelites. You never know in advance what God may do. So don't rule out the possibility of something extraordinary coming your way. And third, when we offer our meager resources to God, we discover how much He can accomplish. The story of the poor widow who gave all that she had is an example of this. Just offer the little that you have and God will do the rest. It happens over and over again. So my dear friends, God bless you all. The three readings that we have, the three topics, the three themes that we cover are all important aspects of discipleship. Take nothing with you, go apart to rest, and give them something to eat. God bless you all. Amen.